Welcome to PSY 503, Types of Psychological Tests, Study Session 4. Introduction. This lecture is an expose of some psychological tests that are used in psychology. The tests covered mainly measure human mental ability, physical abilities, psychomotor tests, visual skills, achievement tests, and interest for various vocations. Objectives. Students are expected to be able to 1. Name up to 10 psychological tests. 2. Handle up to 5 psychological tests. 3. Understand mental ability tests. 4. Understand physical ability tests. 5. Understand achievement tests. 6. Understand interest tests. Measures of individual mental ability. Interest in human mental, cognitive or intellectual abilities dates back to Sir Francis Galton and the development of the early test of intelligence by Stanford Binet. The tests by Binet were basically used for identifying deficient children in schools. Intelligence is the general capacity for comprehension and reasoning that manifests itself in various ways. David Wensler believes that intelligence is the aggregate or global capacity of the individual to act purposefully, to think rationally, and to deal effectively with his environment. This definition explains intelligence in a general light. Other psychologists, however, challenge such conception of intelligence in general terms and refer to it as general intelligence. They are of the opinion that tests of intelligence measure samples of mental abilities that are independent of one another. The independent nature of mental abilities was verified by Charles Spearman using factor analysis. Factor analysis is a statistical technique used to obtain more precise information about the kinds of abilities that determine performance on intelligence tests. In a later research conducted by Lowell Thurston, objections were made to Spearman's view on general intelligence. Rather, Thurston broke down intelligence into a number of factors which he defined as primary mental abilities. The collaborators in the work include French, 1951, Harman, 1975, Thurston, 1938, and Thurston and Thurston, 1941. The abilities identified include the following. V. Verbal comprehension. This refers to the ability to understand the meaning of words. It could take the form of reading comprehensions, verbal analogies, disarranged sentences, verbal reasoning, and proverbs matching. These are collectively measured by vocabulary tests. W. Word fluency. This is related to the ability to think of words fast, as found in such tests as anagrams, rhyming, or naming words in a given category, e.g., naming of words beginning with the letter B. N. Number. This has to do with the ability to work with numbers and perform computations. It is closely identified with speed and accuracy in carrying out simple arithmetic computations. S. Space. This factor may take two forms. One form covers the perception of fixed spatial or geometric relations. The other form covers manipulatory visualization, as in recognizing the same figure presented in different orientations. M. Associative memory. The ability to recall verbal stimuli, such as paired associates or sentences. Other restricted memory factors, such as memory for temporal sequence and for spatial position, have also been suggested by some writers. P. Perceptual speed. This is the ability for quick and accurate grasping of visual details, similarities, and differences. R. Reasoning. This is the ability to find a general rule of relationships, as in a number series completion test. For instance, determining how a number series was constructed after being presented with only a portion in that series. IQ test. Intelligence tests attempt to measure intelligence, that is, the basic ability to understand the world around, assimilate its functioning, and apply this knowledge to enhance the quality of life. Intelligence, therefore, is a measure of a potential, not a measure of what has been learnt, as in an achievement test, and so it is supposed to be independent of culture. The challenge is to design a test that can actually be culture-free. Most intelligence tests fail in this area to some extent. The concept of IQ derives from about 1916 when a Stanford University psychologist, Lewis Terman, translated and revised the intelligence scale created by Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon, hence the name of the new instrument, the Stanford Binet Intelligence Scale. This mental age, chronological age concept works well for children. But what do you do about adults? What's the difference between a mental age of 25 and a mental age of 45? Needless to say, the problems here are so complicated that today's psychologists have generally given up the idea of IQ and speak simply about intelligence. Today, intelligence is measured according to individual deviation from standardized norms, with 100 being the average. After the development of intelligence tests, it was soon recognized that these tests were deficient in their coverage of human abilities. For instance, the intelligence test could not cover some concrete and practical abilities, like mechanical aptitude. Aptitude refers to the capacities to acquire specific skills and knowledge, such as those needed for certain jobs and other activities. Mechanical ability. Mechanical ability refers to the mental or cognitive aspect of jobs. This is usually differentiated from the physical or motor aspect of the job, which is quite characteristic of most mechanical jobs. McCormick and Eugene, 1980, identified two classes of mechanical ability. One class is called general mechanical relation, which is the recognition of tools used for various purposes and other relevant cognitive abilities. Take 2. And other relevant cognitive abilities. The second class of mechanical ability is the perception and manipulation of spatial relations. That is, the ability to visualize how parts of components fit together to form a working whole. An instance in the operation of these two forms of mechanical ability is the fixing of parts of an engine carburetor. Mechanical information tests are more dependent on past experience with mechanical objects that are abstract, spatial, or perceptual tests. Some of the early tests in this field require the examinees to assemble common mechanical objects from the given parts. Clerical ability. Tests on clerical ability combine perceptual speed and accuracy with other functions required for clerical work. The tests usually considered relevant for measuring clerical ability are those involving such activities as alphabetical arrangement of words, classification of verbal materials into specified groups, coding of data, and the like. In addition to this, some measures of verbal and numerical ability may be introduced to serve as general intelligence tests. A typical example of clerical aptitude test incorporating perceptual speed and accuracy is the Minnesota Clerical Test (MCT) by Andrew, Patterson, and Longstaff, 1979. The test consists of two separately timed sub-tests, number comparison and name comparison. In the number comparison subset, the examinee is given 200 pairs of numbers, each containing from 3 to 12 digits. If the numbers in the pair are identical, A check mark is placed between them. The name comparison is similar. In this case, proper names are substituted for numbers. Psychomotor abilities. Psychomotor abilities cover manipulative ability, motor ability, eye-hand coordination, and other related visual control skills. These are collectively called dexterity. Some psychomotor ability tests measure a combination of motor and perceptual, spatial or mechanical aptitude. These tests are many of importance in the selection of industrial and military personnel. Psychomotor tests are of different kinds as they measure different types of psychomotor ability. However, most of them are apparatus tests, although several paper and pencil adaptations have been designed for group administration. Some specific psychomotor abilities measurable as identified by McCormick and Eugene 1980 include finger dexterity. This is the ability to make skillful coordinated movements of the fingers. In some cases, there are manipulations of objects. In some others, there may not be any object manipulation. Example of text measuring finger dexterity is O'Connor finger dexterity test, which does not require manipulation of objects. Others are O'Connor-Switzer dexterity test, Purdue Pongboard, and Groves pegboard, which call for some manipulation in testing. Jobs requiring the ability include that of a typist. Manual dexterity. The ability to make skillful, coordinated movements of the hand or of a hand together with its arms. An example of text measuring manual dexterity is Minnesota manual dexterity. Jobs requiring the ability include that of brick molding. Wrist finger speed. The ability with which discrete movements of the fingers, hands, and wrist can be made with speed. Example of such test is the rotary pursuit test. The weaver's job will require this ability. Rate control. The ability to make timed, anticipatory motor adjustments relative to changes in the speed and or direction of a continuously moving object. Such ability is important for goalkeeping in football competitions or machine. Speed of limb movement. The speed with which a single motor choice behavior can be made at a single stimulus. A job that requires this ability is that of product inspection on a production line, like picking up faulty bottles from a conveyor belt in a bottling company. Choice reaction time. The ability to select and initiate response behavior when the response is selected from two or more alternatives relative to two or more stimuli. This ability is useful for packaging assorted products in a packaging firm. Control precision. The ability to make controlled muscular movements necessary to adjust or position a machine or equipment control system. This ability is needed by mechanics. Visual skills. Some jobs demand more visual skills. For successful job performance, the type of visual skills required for jobs also vary for different jobs. Test of achievement. Experts have distinguished among achievement, aptitude, and intelligence as different types of ability. Captain 1993. Ability tests are usually in terms of speed, accuracy, or both. On an ability test, therefore, the faster or the more accurate a test taker's responses are, the better the score on a particular characteristic. For instance, the more arithmetic problems a person can correctly solve in a given amount of time, the greater the ability in solving such problems. Achievement tests are designed to assess what a person has learned after a specific course of instruction. The first achievement tests used in schools were of the SS4. These were later replaced in the 1930s by standardized achievement tests, which is still in use today. Interest inventories. The nature and amount of a person's interest in any activity forms a significant aspect of personality. This personality characteristic can as well affect educational and occupational achievement. Interest inventories requires the person being tested to indicate the strength of his interest in such things as investigative, artistic, or conventional occupations, hobbies, jobs, and other activities. Locally, Professor Bakare developed a vocational interest inventory (VII) for use in career interest. In the inventory, scores are obtained from 10 broad interest areas: outdoor, mechanical, computational, scientific, persuasive, artistic, literary, musical, social subjective, literary, musical, social service, and clerical. 10 items for each interest category were formulated and grouped on the basis of content validity and internal consistency, with low correlations with other interest categories. The response pattern is in the 5-point Likert form of strongly agree to strongly disagree. End of study session 4. Thanks for listening.